Hi everybody and welcome here to the EASA building in Cologne where we're hosting EASA's GA season opener for this year. My name's John Franklin, I'm Head of Safety Promotion here at EASA and I'm joined today by my assistant and co-organiser.
Thank you, John. I'm Kate Bronca from GAMA, General Aviation Manufacturer Association, and I'm very happy to be here today with John.
Yeah, it's good. It's taken a bit of planning, this, hasn't it? So, yeah, so it's good that we could finally be in the same room,
in person,
doing this together. Yeah, it feels like a real step forward in the pandemic, and hopefully, similarly, it's great that together, as a community, we're going to see hopefully a great summer and some great flying, and yeah, fingers crossed all around. So maybe the first thing I just want to do is lay out a few basic ground rules of what we're going to try and do today. So we're ably assisted by our colleague Ingvi here, who you'll see tomorrow evening when we do the Learning from Accidents session. But what you'll see during the course of the session on the screen is that we're going to do, obviously you see the PowerPoint, we've got some guests to have some discussions with, but what you'll particularly see is hopefully you can see the Slido in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. On there you can ask questions of your own and we'd love you to do that, that would be really great. And then what you can also do is up or down or upvote your favourite questions from other people. So, if you're thinking of something, you see somebody's already asked it, rather than asking the question again, you can upvote the question that's already there. Also, drop us a note in the chat there if there's any huge technical problems. Hopefully it works quite well. Fingers crossed. We have had a few problems before. Some of you maybe joined us for the iconspicuity workshop a couple of weeks ago. We've solved all of the problems, hopefully, that we had back then. But yeah, it's the first time today also that we try a simultaneous WebEx and YouTube live stream. So if you're joining us on the Together for Safety YouTube stream, you could also, ideally, if you have the opportunity, if you're already using WebEx, you put the questions in the Slido there. If you haven't and you're only in YouTube, you can ask questions in the chat and Ingvi will check occasionally if we've got any questions also there, and you'll hear Ingvi jumping in with some of those questions when we get later on in the session. So yeah, so hopefully we've got a good session for you today, and we've got quite a good week. So do you want to tell everybody about what's coming up?
So week one will be very busy. We'll have multiple topics. For example, right now, after this little intro, we'll have a panel about being ready, a very good panel with high-profile panelists that we're really honored to have today. We'll also have tomorrow an aircraft-ready session where we'll discuss what we should have ready aircraft-wise for the new season. But then also a very interesting session about instructors, like more info about being an instructor in the European General Aviation, and we'll have good speakers at that one too. And the end of the week will be for the planning and decision-making session with Ingvi.
And it's maybe worth mentioning, so some of the sessions, obviously a lot of people we know in the GA community work during the day, so we've got this launch session during the day at lunchtime. Hopefully people have been able to join. The session on learning from accidents we'll have tomorrow evening from 7 to 8 PM Central European time. Then the same for the aircraft ready session on Wednesday will be in the evening. The instructor session we'll do again on Thursday at lunchtime between 12:30 and 1:30, and then planning and decision making will also be in the evening as well.
Everything will be on YouTube.
Exactly, yeah, we're going to put stuff on YouTube, and Kate's going to be here joining us all week, which is great. So yeah, hopefully we'll get through it. And then maybe just to mention, what we've got then over the weekend is all sorts of flying clubs around Europe having their own events, their own discussions, getting ready for the season. Yep. You're going to be at an event
in Namur, Airfield in Belgium, so that's going to be quite exciting. But I know other countries and other air clubs will be involved in the whole weekend. So
yeah, I know people up as far as in Norway, in different parts of Scandinavia. We've also got somebody we work with a lot on our rotorcraft side in Italy near Milan. Somebody who works actually for Leonardo Helicopters. They're having an event in their flying club. Also I know people in Spain. All sorts of countries around Europe. We've got lots of different events. And then when it comes to the second week, we're splitting a lot more into kind of domain specific, for other kind of other activities, if that makes sense. So on Monday evening, I'll be joined here in the studio by Carol Abanez from the European Balloon Federation, and we've got a great discussion with the balloon community. On Tuesday, we're just going to be doing lots of promotion, social media mostly, for the rotorcraft community, and then we're also going to be having a session on gliding with the European Gliding Union on Wednesday evening, and then we've got stuff on environment. Maybe also you're going to do some stuff with Airfield on diversity.
Yep.
You tell us a bit.
We'll have environment will be covered by multiple speakers, but also by GAMA, and the diversity session. I'm very proud to say that AVO, the Association Aviation for All, will be in charge of the whole hour. The session will be focusing this year on women in aviation. So don't forget to follow us on that session. I'm sure it's going to be very interesting.
And hopefully you can see now on the screen the agenda that we've just talked about. Is that up? Yeah, so hopefully now you can see that full agenda that we've just talked about on the screen. If you go to the EASA GA season opener event page on the EASA website, you'll be able to see this. You'll be able to register for all the WebEx events if you want to do that. You can also then go to the Together for Safety YouTube stream, and you can also then set reminders for all the different streams. So hopefully we make it as easy as possible for as many people as possible to join. What you'll also see on that event page is if you want to ask any questions in advance of the sessions, is we've got the Slido set up so people can join and do that. So hopefully that gives lots of different choices. So if we could go to the next slide, Ingvi. Just particularly also to give thanks to all our different supporters, and we've had a lot of us involved in this. So obviously from your side, Kate.
We do have, well, we want to say, of course, thank you to GAMA, the General Aviation Manufacturers Association, AVO, Aviation for All, but also IAOPA.
Yeah, we got European Exports, yes. European Balloons Federation, support from the European Helicopter Association, from the European Gliding Union, also from Wingley, and they've been promoting all these events on their different forums. So huge thanks to Bertrand, the team at Wingley. And then also huge thanks particularly to the support from the national authorities. And we've got Jani Hottola from Traficom in Finland, from the Finnish authority joining us, and he's been involved in the planning. Also, we've had two colleagues from the Dutch authority, and then also we have to mention, of course, Thomas Hutton and the team from the CEA Norway, who are organising the instructor session. So the instructor session that you'll see on Thursday has been filmed and all set up by the team up in Bodo in the north of Norway. So I know, but I'm really looking forward to that.
They're super ready.
Yeah, yeah. And Thomas has done an awesome job working with the whole community up there. So yeah, we're going to have some really good sessions, and hopefully that's going to be quite interesting. So I guess the next question is, so we're going to be preparing all the different discussions we have, and we're going to have some PowerPoints and other things, different material on the community site. Maybe it's worth mentioning a bit about what people can do with that material as we create it. It's not just about this.
So what we have to mention for the second week, we'll have first of all, we'll have a summary of the whole content of those 2 weeks. So don't miss that part also. It will be a great summary that John and I will do together with you, where you can ask more questions if you have some. Also, we'll have a presence at Aero. You have a GAMA booth next to the EASA booth. So those are also places where you will be able to ask questions. Don't forget that what John said about the EASA event page. On the EASA website, you'll have a lot of information. You can also follow up on social media. We're on all of them, name it, we're there. Not sure we have TikTok yet.
No,
we're getting there.
Fine, yeah.
We're getting there. I'm going to get John to do a TikTok soon.
Antonio will have us do TikTok before you know it.
So you can follow up all those, and please share. You can be active on those and share, and also ask your questions. And be present. You can also discuss all the topics on the groups that we have, and John can tell us a little bit more about all the presence that we'll have on social media and multiple groups that we're in.
Oh, loads, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll mention that in a second. Yeah, so shall I talk about that now then? Yeah, so in terms of, if we go to the next slide, Ingvi. So in terms of follow-up and where you can go to get more information. So if you haven't found it already, we have the EASA GA community site and we post all our material there. So whether it's the Sunny Swift cartoons, all of the material that we're going to have coming up very soon from our new Aviators Club activities. We also then, as I say, have the Together for Safety YouTube channel, and we use that also for other parts of aviation, so rotorcraft and commercial aviation as well. So there's a specific GA, General Aviation playlist area where we post all of our general aviation videos, so you can follow those. Then on Facebook, we have the Aviators Club as a page on Facebook. And then we also have a General Aviation Europe Facebook group. So there's lots of different things there that you can interact with. And yeah.
Pretty active.
Yeah.
A lot of interactions there with pilots flying around Europe, asking for advices and stuff. It's really nice to go there.
I think we've nearly 3,200 members of the Facebook group now, so it's building as a community. I think what we will hopefully get to is people sharing their experiences over the summer, and
that is what Europe needs right now. We need that community, and we need to be able to share our experience and discuss. And so John, let's start with our panel. I think we've spoken enough. So today's panel, we have with us connected Dominique Roland from EASA, Kyle Martin from GAMA, General Aviation Manufacturer Association, Jani Hottola from Traficom Finland, hi Jani, and Michael Earp from IAOPA, the International Aircraft Owner and Pilot Association that I'm pretty sure everyone knows. We will be asking 3 questions today, and we'll start with the first question. And what I suggest is, Dominique, you would be the first to go through the exercise to reply.
In fact, maybe we check that Dominique was running from another meeting.
That's a good question.
To join us.
Do we have Dominique on the line?
Yeah, it's okay. I'm just on time.
Great.
That's good to know.
So, Dominique, very happy that you're here. So our first question today is, why is it important to be ready for the season ahead? 2022 is here, the sun is coming, people are starting to fly even more, and you, of course, as a pilot, you can tell us a little bit more, why is learning as a pilot so important, and what do we have to do to be ready?
Well, yes, I will take my own case because I'm a pilot as well, for my job, but also for my leisure. I'm flying with my wife. I'm not flying enough to be as current I would like to be. I'm like you all. I cannot spend enough time and money to fly like I would like to fly. And like everybody, when I'm flying, my objective when I prepare a flight is to make it perfect. And I would like to have a perfect experience. We go somewhere. And unfortunately, despite all my precaution, despite my 6,000 hours of flight experience, things are not happening as planned. And on top of that, I realized that I'm still making mistakes. I feel really ashamed with that. I say, how is it possible that you made this stupid mistake today? It's a mystery for me. It's really a mystery. It's a human factor issue. We are all making mistakes. And despite your best effort, my best effort to avoid making mistakes, we still do. And for that, the best thing to do is to prepare yourself. So not later than yesterday, I was on Sunday at home. I will soon prepare a trip from Bonn-Hankola to Cannes to visit my daughter. It's quite a long trip in I4. And I decided, let's wait a minute and repeat the flight with a Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I have this nice software on my computer at home. And I planned the flight exactly as I will do it when I will go there. I'm using a TB21, which is looking quite similar to my airplane, just to feel in the same kind of environment and listening to the ATC, of course, is a synthetic voice, but still, I was in the mood. And after a while, I'm really in my airplane and I'm thinking about the different issues that I have to face during my flight. And we can do small things like that. You can use also other simulators if you are using Garmin equipment. There are very good simulators from Garmin for the 650 or 750 or even 430, 530. You know, this kind of equipment, you should not use them every day. I mean, it's easy to make mistakes and have difficulties to suddenly remember how to load and activate an approach where there is suddenly a change in that you were expecting an ILS for the runway 21 and finally, no, it's a change, it will go for the 24. and you need to be fast in reacting, and for that you need to be prepared. And you don't need to go to an ATO for that. There is a lot of things that today you can do yourself. So by preparing at home, revising the aeronautical publication, all the information, preparing approaches, or playing with software like, I don't know, I don't want to make any advertisement, but you have software like Garmin Pilot or Skydemon, and so sorry for the others, but they are all very good. And you can simulate flights and again, try to anticipate on what could happen. Or another recommendation, check the weather, even if you don't have any trip plan. Let's imagine, what is the weather for tomorrow? Can I go? Can I not go? And study the TAF, study the META, study all the weather forecast. You will see that the forecast is totally wrong, generally speaking. So you will have to probably anticipate some last minute changes. And you can see that, okay, tomorrow I believe I can do the flight. Okay, let's see what happens. The day after, you watch outside, oh shit, no, it doesn't work. So my forecast was not good. So it's easy, it's for free, it's not dangerous, and you will stay current. That would be my message for this question, John.
Awesome.
I really like the
Fantastic.
message. Yeah, as a pilot myself, I totally agree with the procedure that you did with your daughter, and also with all the technique that you mentioned. It's a really good advice. And our next speaker, Kyle, is a student pilot right now, learning to do his PPL. Kyle, I hope those advices helped you. Do you have also, from the GAMA perspective, something to say about being ready and what we can do as a pilot, what is important to do to be ready for the season?
Thank you, Kate. I certainly can't compete with Dominique's 6,000 hours, but I think looking at it from the PPL student perspective, there's always a lot more I can learn. I'm still working my way through those many books of A4 textbooks, trying to brush up on all the different things. But I think that applies whether you're an experienced pilot or you're a student pilot. Because we can always learn, and sometimes even being experienced, I know from being an engineer, you think you know something because you've done it before, you've learned it in the past. Very simple, we all think we can run through a checklist in our head, but then you miss one step on a go around, you forget to put the car peat back in or something, and then you're suddenly without thrust. So there's always things we can do. So I think we have to get in the mindset that we are all able to learn all the time. As Dominique says, it doesn't have to just be about going to an ATO and doing a formal training with an instructor, though of course that is helpful. There's other things we can learn, but continuously learn and gain experience from other people's lessons learned. I think it's maybe something we've suffered from the pandemic. We've lost some sort of human person-to-person interaction and sharing experiences. So John's efforts and EASA's efforts to promote the different community websites help share experiences, but we're not seeing each other, talking to each other as much as maybe the aero clubs or the flight clubs, because those interactions have been lost, because we all learn from talking to each other what someone else's mistakes were you can learn from so you don't make those mistakes tomorrow. But the other part is we need to look towards the future. So I'm happy to say that all GAMA's members are actively developing many great new aircraft, new engines, new technologies, particularly for the cockpit, all of which are going to bring new safety enhancing experiences. So we should always learn about what's available in the market. And of course, I would happily recommend everyone goes to Aero Friedrichshafen at the end of next month to see what's coming onto the market from our great members. At the same time, EASA is going ahead with lots of new regulations. We're trying to improve and implement the GA roadmap that EASA has been working on for some time. So there's new things coming along as well, new opportunities as well for the GA community that we can all learn about.
Sorry, Kyle. Well, thank you very much. Again, I think your comment and Dominique's comment are heading to the same direction. Like, we should never stop learning as pilots, and whether you're a student or like we have to, like, there is an old sentence that you can see in every aero club. I won't say bar, but we do have a lot of bars on aerodromes. No alcohol, of course, but those are the places where we discuss, and we always say, like, there is no good pilot. There are old pilots, and those are the good ones because they've been learning and they've been asking questions, and that's how you learn.
And actually, I love it when we go flying at Aachen with the EASA Flying Club, and I know where our colleague Vendel flies a lot. They've actually got that above the hangar doors,
Yeah.
is that there are no, the old statement about there are no pilots and bold pilots,
That-
but there are no
yep.
old bold pilots.
That's what it is, and as soon as you start being in this community, you know that's what it is, and how, like Dominique said, no matter how many hours you have to learn more. Like educate yourself about the new technologies, educate yourself about the new trainings that exist, and that's how we will improve the safety of our whole sector, general aviation.
That's so important.
So it'd be very interesting. Jani, you were with us from Traficom Finland, and it would be very interesting to have also your point of view as a national aviation administration.
Thank you very much. Yeah, as a national administrator, but also as a pilot, as a flight instructor, as a flight examiner, I'd say that being ready is being a pilot. That's what it's all about. I mean, we prepare to be ready, but never finished. We know, well, the saying that at the moment when you think you know everything, you need to stop flying immediately, because you're a danger to yourself and to people around you. It's learning and studying is at the core of everything that we do, because just like you said, the world changes around us all the time, and that's we can never stand still on that. A flight is not a theater performance where everything is written beforehand and happens exactly like planned. Just like Dominique, when he flies with a flight sim, and when he flies the flight in real life, it's not going to be the same. So that's why we prepare ourselves and get ready. At the core of the safety that we create is honesty to ourselves, to others, and to the system in itself. And that's how we figure out how to aviate.
Thank you, Jani. Well, as I said, this panel is very impressive. Pilot-wise, technically wise, it's very impressive, and your experience, Jani, is a very big plus. We might have an echo right now. I apologize about it. I think he's working on it. I'll continue with our fourth panelist for the first question, and well, Michael is also a very experienced pilot and also a very involved pilot for the community, for the European GA community. So Michael, please give us your word of advice on the topic.
Yeah, thank you, Kate. And it's quite difficult to add something new after my dear colleagues have already said so many intelligent things. And well, I also got some experience, but each spring I'm a rusty pilot. So I need to prepare myself for the season, and the challenge is always to be ahead of your aircraft. And just like Dominique, I'm also flying on flight simulators. You can do that maybe in your basement and use your checklist, get familiar with your checklist, get familiar with your, you said Sky Demon or other navigation app, and be honest and realistic to yourself. So if you jump into a plane first time after a long winter break, you will find out that flying is complex. It's great fun. But if you need to find out where the checklist is and where the items are and where the levers and gauges in your aircraft are, and how did the GPS system work, and what about my smartphone app, and then it's getting a little tricky. So prepare yourself, have a look at the manuals. Pilots hate reading manuals, but sometimes it really does help. Get yourself familiar with that, and please don't rush yourself. So time pressure is something that is very often critical if you don't do your pre-flight orderly, and if you don't check your NOTAMs and your weather properly. Take yourself time and enjoy it, and don't see it as something that prevents you from flying. The preparation is part of the game, and make the best out of it, and take a friend along, maybe even a flight instructor, and enjoy your flying. And I think with these ingredients, it's quite likely that the flights will be a pleasure and safe at the same time.
I so agree with
That's
you.
the thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's not supposed to be here for it
Yes.
to have fun. We're not supposed to, it's not
Exactly.
it's about enjoying our flying, isn't it?
Exactly. And also, I really like the fact that you, Michael, you add the fact that like take time to do this and do this properly, and it is our pleasure also. It's important to take the time, and it's okay sometimes if you don't feel confident, go fly with an instructor. You will learn from that flight also. So I really appreciate that comment. And you're not a rusty pilot, Michael. Come on. I would not let you say that
Well,
about
there's
yourself.
different degrees of rust, so a little bit of German call it Flugrost, and that you can get rid of quite easily.
Well, so thank you for that. Was question one for us. And John, can you tell us question two? Our panelists are super ready now.
Yeah, we've got them warmed up now, so yeah, we're ready to go. So obviously tomorrow evening we're going to talk a bit more detail about learning from accidents, what's the data telling us from previous years, etc. But I think at an individual level, what we thought would be really interesting is to see, well, what did our panelists learn from last year, and then what can we remember and think about, particularly specific things for the season ahead. So again, if we come in the same order, so Dominique, if I come to you first, what are the key lessons that you perhaps take from the flying you did last year and in the past that pilots can apply for the season ahead?
Well, first of all, you know that we have some figures available showing that our safety data for last year is not very good. Huh? So our safety records showing that despite all our efforts and this kind of event, this season opener is one of them. We are really trying to do the best we can to support the GA community and try to make flying safer when you are flying with a small aircraft. We are not there yet. And for the moment, we don't have very positive results. So it's clear that we need to do more, and to do more. In what direction? I'm reading all accident report. In my position here, of course, you can imagine that it's important. It's to be totally honest with you, it's a bit depressing as well, because when you see that for each and every accident report that I read, you discover that the accident could have been avoided very easily. And it's a succession of small mistakes which at the end are creating a catastrophic event. So you need to stop the chain of event very, very early in the process. And you need to be alerted. When things are going wrong, guys, don't wait too long before reacting. Don't push too far. People are always pushing too far. Stop as soon as you start to feel uncomfortable with the situation. Oh, the visibility is getting poor. Okay, let's wait a minute. No. If you get this feeling, 180 degrees, go back home. Don't wait. As the first moment you have a warning signal, you should feel that something is going wrong and obey to this feeling and take action immediately. Do not suspend your decision. React quickly. I was very lucky in my life as a pilot. I escaped a lot of very dangerous situations. Most of the time because I was lucky, I believe, not because I was a very good pilot. I was just lucky. But I'm someone very intuitive. I listen to my instinct. When I feel something, even if it is not rational, I don't care. If I have a bad feeling, I will react immediately. And then after, I will analyze. But first, I want to escape the situation where I feel bad. That would be my main message.
And actually, that's a good part of what we're going to be doing in the campaigns coming up is talking about this concept of being ready to fly another day. And I think it's that thing, isn't it? It's taking that moment and that decision.
Yeah. And listen to yourself.
Exactly.
Trust your guts
as
a pilot.
Yeah, completely. I think that's so important. And that was a great point to make, Dominique. Thanks. And maybe we move on next to Kyle. From your perspective, what would you say about lessons from last year and thinking ahead to the season that comes forward?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't personally fly very many hours last year, but I can maybe give a perspective from another viewpoint, because one of the things that Michael, Kate, and myself do every year for the last 4 years is an annual GA survey in Europe that GAMA and AOPA, with the support of EASA and Airfield, often organize every year. And that really gives us a perspective from several thousand pilots across Europe as to what their safety experiences and challenges are. Not unexpectedly, the number one recommendation from the community is that pilots who fly more regularly are safer. That doesn't surprise anyone. Obviously, there's lots of challenges preventing that, whether it's fuel prices, the time pressures, cost of operations, but those things are always going to be there. The other things we looked at, well, one is in-flight technology, so in-flight weather, in-flight traffic awareness systems, which are coming onto the market at a more affordable rates. So obviously, if you're flying in uncontrolled airspace, having something that tells you where the traffic is, so you're not always easily seeing it out of the cockpit window, that's always going to help, as well as weather. I'm from Ireland, so I know weather is famously unpredictable, so that's something you should always have. The other thing is airport accessibility, which is something we're actually working on at GAMA at the minute, because we're seeing more and more airports trying to exclude general aviation, and we need to work together as a community to try and fight that. So one recent example is Barcelona airports trying to ban single-engine turbine operations for reasons that are completely inexplicable. And we need to make sure that GA pilots have access to a range of airports to be able to continue to fly safely and fly where they need to get to. So overall, I would say the lessons would be, we need to gather data, understand the reports that Dominique's talking about. The accident reports are sadly still too many. Occurrence reports should be filed, and we're working closely with AOPA and EASA to try and gather the data so that we can produce some common recommendations and take forward common actions to try and reduce the number of accidents so we're all flying more safely. And finally, just keep sharing your experiences. So when talking to each other, figure out where your friends, colleagues, counterparts are making their mistakes, and you can learn from them as well.
Fantastic, thanks for that, Carl. And actually, the really good point I've heard, lots of really great points actually, but one I'm going to pick up on, because it's something I've heard from quite a few friends who fly a lot, and that particularly now, where this is the first period where they're going back to some airfields that they maybe haven't been to since before the pandemic, and realizing that either certain services aren't available or things have changed a little bit, and that's where the airfield services element that Carl was talking about is so important.
And back to what our speakers were saying, I mean, you read your AIPs, read your NODAMs, give a call to the airfield if you're not comfortable. If you haven't been there for a while, just give a call to the Air Club, the airfield, just make sure you're comfortable getting there. But also, I like the part that we need to share those information, and the work with the survey that Kyle mentioned and that Michael knows so well too. We need to share those data. We need to know what's going on and what scares people. Where is that safety? Where is that safety jeopardized in flight and in the preparation?
And the more we can share that with each other as a community, even just with friends, etc. That's so important.
Yep, agree.
And maybe I spend time to follow. Oh yes.
If I can, John, Kate, just because Kate was mentioning, calling the airfield, something that I use a lot in the navigation app like Skydiamond or ForFlight or Garmin. I don't want to quote them all, but okay. You have, when you plan to fly to an airfield, you can see pilot reports that flew to the airfield. This is extremely useful. On top of the official publication, the AIP, you get fresh information about the availability of the fuel, if you were welcome, if you can park easily, are the specific restrictions to observe. The pilots are exchanging, and this information is there for free and extremely valuable as well.
I agree, and it's also the pilot's responsibility to comment. Whenever you go to an airfield and you use one of those software, your responsibility is to put that comment. So I'll be looking for your comments in Skydiamond and Dominique.
We should follow each other around flights and see who has the best comments. Excellent. Maybe thanks for that addition, Dominique, and maybe we go to Jani next, and what about from your side? What do you see as the key lessons from last year moving forward?
For instructor.
Oh, Jani, are you muted there?
Jani is speechless with the quality of our.
I was speechless.
Oh,
Sorry, I was muted.
There is a sound block to your basement.
Yeah. When I listen to this discussion, it sounds like we all are singing from the same notes, pretty much. As a matter of fact, in Finland, we have this cooperation with the national authority and the Finnish Aeronautical Association and the IAOPA and the air navigation service providers. And the main themes that we picked for safety promotion for this year was flight planning and preparation, and not just limited into how do you plot the course and figure out the specific flight, but how do you prepare and gather information, since that's of course crucial based on the incident data that we're looking for. Just like Dominique said, you notice that there are plenty of places where just a proper preparation would have stopped it from happening. And by the way, an additional comment of what Dominique said about turning around or quitting when something happens. If you are in a flight and you start to feel like you are in a chapter 1 of an accident report, it's time to turn around.
Hey, yeah, it's about time.
Yes. Other themes that we picked for this year was just a navigation. If you're using electronic tools, which most of are right now, know how to use them. Prepared for them not working, not just because the equipment that you have, but lately we've had issues with the GPS reception around Europe, so you need to take care of that too. And the last theme that we have is that when operating in airfields where there are lots of different kind of operators, gliders, parajumps, stuff like that, you need to get familiar with yourself with the cooperation between these different kind of forms. That's certainly an issue that we've seen lately. The amount of flying has not decreased in Finland according to our statistics in GA in 2020. In 2020, we're still finalists in the 21 hours, but we actually had in 2020 about 5% increase in flight time in GA. So that's over there, but we've had a pretty rough winter over here, so there's been plenty of time to prepare yourself for the next new flying season, and I hope people will take the advantage of that. Thank you.
Fantastic, thanks, Jani. And maybe that's a good time to remind that on Thursday evening we're going to have a specific session on planning and decision making. Particularly talking about different decisions that, the challenging decisions that pilots have to make. What are the common decisions that, that perhaps people find more challenging, and, just to have a good discussion about those kinds of things.
Good advices, and let's refresh a little bit everything.
Yeah,
starting 2023.
Exactly. Important. So last but not least on this question, if we come to Michael, what are your thoughts, Michael, on lessons from last year?
Well, I don't have any specific lessons from last year, but I think in general, humans want to make some progress. And for me, it was always important after getting my pilot license that I make some progress. I wasn't really satisfied from taking off, flying to the nearest church tower, make a 360 and then fly back. And I thought that after 2 years of flying, it would be great to do my first flight outside of Germany. And I remember still in those days we had paper charts, how I put the big ICAO charts in my living room and crawled over them to find out the best route from the middle of Germany to Denmark and to Sweden. I was preparing myself. Then later on, I was saving some money to get an instrument rating. In those days, still in the United States. Now I think it's really affordable with the progress that we made here with the GA roadmap, that we've got some really, really competitive instrument ratings, the competency-based one, and now the new basic instrument rating, that you make some progress, that even if there is some clouds on the route, I can make it, or if there are really bad clouds with ice in it, although I've got an instrument rating, I don't want to do it. You're making progress, and you widen your horizon, and that always helped me. And also, when I was flying abroad, I understood there is some new systems, how general aviation is organized, from flight following or whatsoever, and try some new aircraft if that's affordable, and join some friends. There's flight safety events, for example, that our organization is holding, and you can fly there with a lot of different instructors, fly into the Alps, enjoy something new, and you can do some radar approaches at military airports, also something that you typically don't do as a beginner. And there's so many things that are great fun, widen your horizon, and make you overall a safer pilot.
I think that's a really good one, isn't it? It's about enjoying the different experiences you can have in different parts of Europe. Even I remember, I'm not a fixed wing pilot, but doing a lot of ballooning over the years, and I remember some great times flying in France, and flying in the Alps, being in Norway, flying. And, you just learn so much from different people, and I think that community thing is quite an interesting part.
I think we can sum up this with like, do a flight with an instructor. Prepare your flight as well as you can. Get trainings, whether it's in your basement on your computer, or go to sessions, or come to Aero, go meet IAOPA, EASA, GAMA, and go talk to them, because we do have great teams of specialists about aviation safety, and John here is doing an amazing job at promoting this safety content that we have, but also get this training. The basic instrument rating that Michael mentioned is something get those skills, do a seaplane license, do whatever skills you can get from flying machines, get them, because that's going to help in the future.
I think it's really, certainly from our side, we've been really interesting to watch our own colleague Vendel, who's leading the session on decision making on Thursday, has gone through his instrument rating not so long ago, and it's been interesting to see how that's changed his view on being a pilot. Similarly, on the General Aviation Europe Facebook page, hopefully people have seen Charlie Landon, a pilot from the UK, who's recently started flying seaplanes now. And actually, it's a really interesting post Charlie just put on about some lessons. He's learning a lot flying seaplanes. That's amazing. It's really interesting to see as you try and expand your knowledge. You access more fun things, but then there's more to learn as well.
Oh yeah, we were talking about it with Kyle. Landing a plane on water is something very different, and it's a sensation that you don't get anywhere else. Yeah. So learn that feeling. Yeah. You feel the rotation of your aircraft, and the whole approach that you do that is different on water or on concrete. So anyway, skills, get skills, do trainings. So we have one more question, and I'd be very interested to know with the four of you what you think of what. As a community, as a GA, General Aviation European community, what are the actions that we can take? So what can we do to improve this safety? What can our community do to improve the safety for flights and everything? Dominique, we'll start with you. Next year we should do an alphabetical.
Yeah, so Michael, so everybody gets.
Because Michael, you get saved by Dominique is always the one starting. So Dominique, once again.
Yeah, I always got the rest to answer.
So should I answer or try to answer? Yes. So and I saw a comment on the chat going into this direction. I believe, of course, there are many actions that we started and that we can lead from EASA with the wonderful support of GAMA, Europe Sport, AOPA, and our national aviation authorities. For example, the basic instrument rating is, I believe, an essential step forward in terms of safety, and I really urge our friends pilots who are not yet instrument rated to try to take this opportunity and start this training in order to obtain their instrument rating, because it's a wonderful opportunity. In parallel, we are working with the National Aviation Authority to try to promote the design of instrument approach to non-instrument runway, so that every single small grass strip could have in the future an IFR approach. So we do things like that for you. On your side, what you need to do, what I would imagine is that at the level of a small aero club is to organize once a week an evening where there is a speech from someone telling a story, its own story about a flight. and where things happen which were not expected, and okay, this story ended quite well, but could have been different with a different circumstance. And so sharing. The only way to avoid to make mistakes is to listen to the mistakes made by the others. And you know, if you have in your club an old guy like me, I don't have many white hairs, but I'm not too young. I'm 65 now. I have a lot of stories that I could tell, and I would be happy to share and to explain to young pilots or new pilots why they should avoid to put themselves in this kind of situation. I have hundreds of stories, and we could have stories teller everywhere in Europe trying to convince young guys that there are things that they should never try to do. So sharing information, that the community can do, and we can help in that. And on our side, we will continue to, of course, simplify the regulatory framework, like we will do with Part 21 Light. It's a big achievement this year, like the basic instrument rating. But I believe the community has a role to play by also launching some specific initiative in order to better manage safety.
Yeah, that's something we were just talking kind of briefly about there, just thinking about for the future is, as part of our safety promotion work, we're looking already at kind of putting together kind of lessons from different people. So, you know, it might be that in your flying club, people aren't so comfortable sharing their own stories. But if there are stories, you know, like Dominique has got loads of things that he can share with us. There are other pilots we know as well, where you could almost go to a library where you could even play a video on a particular topic and then discuss somebody else's scenario. So, you know, I think that's a great example of something.
And I also think that we're lucky that, I mean, general aviation is a passion. It's not just, it's more than just an activity.
It's not something
a
you just do.
So whenever, Dominique, when you say, I can tell 1,000 stories, I just want to sit down and listen to those stories for a week or two. I think
we have access to them here all the time.
Exactly. So yeah, I completely agree with that. And I'm sure, Kyle, as a student pilot, you would be sitting next to me to listen to Dominique's stories, but also, what would you tell the community? What is the advice you would give to the community to better GA safety in Europe?
Thank you, Kate. Well, first off, I 100% agree with Dominique, as I said already, sharing stories and experiences and not feeling ashamed of doing it. Because I can say I'm a student pilot, I'm going to make mistakes. It's expected. But if you're an experienced pilot, maybe you're feeling a bit nervous or ashamed you made a mistake. I saw the seaplane video that John mentioned earlier, and that was a really frank admission by someone of mistakes they made in decision making. And that's something we have to get around. But a more general point, if I may, is you asked the question, what can we do as a community? I think first off, we have to recognize we are one GA community in Europe, and we have to work together more. We're not 27 or 31 or 38 different national GA communities. We're one community. We're all working under one system, under EASA. And I fully understand people have frustrations with paragraph X, Y, and Z of different regulations. But we can all complain about it, and people use our survey to complain about it. That's quite all right. And it's our job as GAMA, AOPA, and others to work with our friends at EASA to try and fix those. But we have to work together to fix them. Tell us which regulations are causing you real problems that you think are adding to safety. Tell us which regulations are not being implemented properly, and see where we can work together to try and fix those. That's the whole reason we're doing things like the GAMA AOPA survey every year, to try and get those things, and why EASA is doing things like the GA roadmap to try and implement those. Of course, it's never enough, it's never quick enough, it's never fast enough. We have to live with the system we're in, but we can definitely work together collectively through associations, through groups like what John and Dominique and others are putting together. So that's my advice. Be one GA community in Europe and work together to try and make things better for all of us. So then we can encourage the next generation of pilots to come on board.
I agree with you. And this is a great moment to also say, so the survey that we've been working on, which is on generalaviation.eu, if you go now, you will see the report from last year. And I swear that I read every single comment from every single participant on that survey. And this is a lot of comments. So those comments are being read and also are being shared in all the work that we do as an association, but also with the EASA.
Exactly.
And that's
such an important part about it.
If you don't if you're looking for a way to communicate with the administrations or with other pilots or with our clubs, if you're looking for ways to communicate, like go get them. Like we have General Aviation.eu, we have the Aviators Club, we have all the social media that John are mentioning. It looks unreal, but we are the ones behind it, and we're the ones reading those comments. And so we're trying to give the tools to the community that Kyle was mentioning for that sharing.
And I think, when people ask questions on the GA community side, particularly, or all these other forums and these other things, I'm emailing Dominique and our other members of our GA roadmap, and sometimes you and Kyle and others, Michael, to say, okay, here's a question. How do we help answer that? We might not always be able to answer everything. It might take a little while sometimes, but the people you see in these discussions are the people behind helping us do all of that.
So we have 10 more minutes. So Jani, could you give us your advice for the community, and then we'll go to Michael for his advice. Yes, Michael, you will have to give your advice too, and then we'll go. John, you will lead the Q&A, but Jani, give us your advice.
Thank you. I'll try to cover all the bases, so there's nothing left for Michael. Just joking. I'd like to just to point out the fact that it is clear from our statistics that being a part of association or air club or such is a safety benefit, a clear safety benefit for pilots. So get into organized aviation through air clubs to associations, and the associations be aware of this fact that the activities that you do save lives. As national authority, we are really proud about the associations that we have, and the cooperation and the safety promotion that we do with them. The people that we are most worried about are those who fly alone in GA. They are statistically by far in a greater risk into getting to accident or into fatal accident. So get organized, get into a community where you can learn from other pilots. There's a lot of information, a lot of great information available through these associations and clubs. That's my recommendation.
Thank you, Jani. Michael, it's your moment.
There is definitely something left for Michael.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little bit like at a buffet if you're the last guy there, getting the starters, the main course, and the dessert. But it's not a problem as long there's plenty on the buffet, and we got a lot of issues here, a lot of things to talk about, so no problem at all. One issue that is especially important for me, I think we are all working on it with a certain pressure for years. That's the issue of collision avoidance, and I think we are coming closer to some solutions. We're discussing at the moment in the context of U-Space about how we make aircraft electronically visible. And I think we can do a lot of things. We talked about flight preparation, what can we do to be safer? And to be honest, one risk that we can not really mitigate is the risk of mid-air collisions. And this is poor luck or poor bad luck when things go wrong. It's, I think, an experience that we all made already several times when we are flying for more than just one season, that other aircraft came closer than we felt it was good to have them close. And if we can make use of the existing technology to make each other electronically visible, and also to exploit possibilities to uplink some weather data maybe. And I was flying for the first time some years ago in the United States, and I had on a little screen all the aircraft around me. I could see the rainfall around me, and it was close to Washington, D.C. I could see there's a downtown restricted area, and Camp David was active. This was big and red, so I wasn't really tempted to fly into those red zones. And if we had a little tactical device also in Europe based on whatever technology, in the US, UAT is very well liked, and it's established. Maybe we can do something here via mobile telephone technology or whatever helps, or also consider UAT. I don't know, we would love to have this technical support to make our flying safer and to control this very specific risk that is otherwise very hard to control. And could make some steps forward into this direction, that would be great, and I feel much better.
Fantastic. I think there was some great answers there. Yeah,
we are on the
we covered pretty much all the bases there. Ingvi, maybe do we have some questions? That Ingvi's monitoring the Slido. Maybe do we have anything that you can change? If you put your microphone.
But while Ingvi is looking for the questions, I totally agree with you, Michael. All the emerging possibilities that are happening for us to see other aircraft and be aware of what's going on around, because it's not only aircraft. We know what's coming. We have more than aircraft in the sky, and so I think it's important that we follow up on all those softwares, but also avionics that are available. And I hope it will grow in Europe. And I know EASA is doing a lot of work for like make it possible for people to be seen and see each other. So
and actually, you can check back the recording or what we did on icons perpetuity with the presentations, at least, not the recording, although that's probably just as well given some of the technical problems we had at the time. But you can check out the presentations, and there's going to be a lot more work following up on all of the questions and the different views we got. Actually, that was a really useful discussion just to understand when it comes to use space, particularly. The challenges, but I think it's a much wider discussion that we're going to be having a lot of this year in terms of mid-air collision avoidance.
Those are the first years. It's the beginning. So do we have the questions?
Yeah, we have a comment here from JP Kinos. It should be illegal and advisable to take a fellow pilot to fly with you on the first flight after the winter hibernation instead of doing the first 3 landings alone.
Yeah, I think that's
I think it's the rule. No, I'm not sure. But you. So that the person is saying that you can't. You're not supposed to take a passenger if you haven't done your 3 touch and goes within
to take a fellow pilot with you.
So it's about taking another pilot if you're not flying with an instructor. Perhaps.
Oh, that was one of the comments in the survey report. I saw that, and was one of our speakers might want to
comment on that.
Take the answer. Michael, maybe.
Yeah, Michael.
I think this is an issue that pops up almost every year at spring, and I think if there is a consensus between 2 pilots that they want to fly and share this risk, which is really not a risk, why not? And if you could have a rule change here, I think that would be very positive.
So you would be in favor of such a rule change? I agree, I think. And
I think a lot of promoting these kinds of practices. Ingrid, we got 2 more questions. One we're going to come to first.
Yeah, we got one more here from Alessandro Fizzetti. I'm close to end of my PPL training program. I found extremely useful to watch video of others' training missions and to record my own ones. Do you think it is useful to watch others and individual video to reflect on procedures and mistakes? Is this something the ATO should encourage?
I think it would be interesting to have Jani's point of view on that question as our instructor today.
I would absolutely encourage of getting every possible kind of information, and like I commented over there, it is so much nicer to learn from other people's mistakes than from your own. So I think that's a good way that we've had a kind of this revolution in the past decade of getting these small action cameras in use, so we can get much better quality video from flying, and we can get teaching lessons or anything online, and even meets such as this, but for example in the air club level. So get information from all possible sources. It will help you.
And particularly if you find any interesting videos you think other pilots could learn from, it'd be great things to share on the Facebook.
I agree.
For sure. You know, we see some people doing that, sharing their own, but actually if you come across someone else's, you think, oh, I've just learned something from that. You know,
that
would be great.
there are a lot of wonderful videos available on YouTube, and many of them from the state, because of course the general aviation in the United States is far more developed than it is in Europe. It is a matter of fact. And this is where you find a wonderful source of information that you can really use. I will take my example. I had to do my IFR revalidation flight, but my airplane was not available, was on maintenance, and I had to do it on a different airplane and equipped with an old Garmin 430 that I don't know too well. I'm using Avoidance, avionics. So I went to YouTube and said, okay, I need to find videos about how to manage this 430 and what are the specificities. And I found an incredible number of useful videos. I spent half a day watching videos. I learned a lot. When I passed my test with the flight instructor, I knew more about the equipment than him. It was incredible, incredibly useful, easy, free of charge. So really, yes, we can do a lot, and we should publish also on our site more videos like that. Yes.
Yeah, I have that a lot, and I'm pretty sure I know someone in this panel named Kyle who's exactly the same. Once you start going through those videos, you just get lost in them.
Yeah, he's always sharing great videos, and we'll be sharing more of those. And looking at the time, maybe just we had one other quote. We have one other question that's about instrument ratings and things between EASA and FAA rules, and it's something we won't necessarily answer the question right now, but it's something actually we were talking about is Cate and Kyle particularly have been talking about Cate kind of trying and seeing how that fits between them. So yeah, we'll document that. And
I think it will be for maybe for next year on my with my personal experience. So I have the EASA and FAA PPL, and I'm planning on doing the IFR in the US and transfer, so I can learn more about like what is this transfer, how does it work, and I think it's very interesting for us as an association to understand better like how it works and how we can make it better also. So next year I'll come with that experience and my IFR.
And then one other thing that we didn't mention so much just as we finish off is to talk then about Aero, and we've got more things coming up at Aero hopefully with some more short sessions in the weeks leading up to Aero, and then actually at the event we'll all be there with lots of things.
Oh yeah, come at Aero, come meet us. We have a lot to discuss about, and maybe Dominique will give us one of the story.
Yeah, we'll do a story session.
We'll have a story session with Dominique.
I will be happy. I will prepare.
And Michael will monitor.
A set of stories for you in Aero, yes.
Nice. And Michael, you will do the monitoring of the whole story session. Well, I think we pushed it a little further for the minutes.
Yes,
but
we've reached the end.
John, I'll leave you to close this beautiful session, and I really appreciate being here. It was really fun.
Thanks for coming. It's great that we could be here after talking so much the last all these last 2 years. To actually meet again in person was great, and yeah, it's great. Hopefully next time we'll be able to have some panelists in the room, and hopefully at Aero we can do some recordings of some of these discussions live while we're all there, and it'd be really good. So thanks very much for joining us, everybody. We'll put the recordings online as quickly as we can as well, so you can share it with others. And hopefully you'll join us tomorrow at 7 o'clock, 1900 Central European time, where Ingvi and Cate will talk about learning from accidents, and I'll be manning the desks behind and doing the questions. So we look forward to catching you then. Take care. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you to all. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.